Every time you're going to try to learn something new or do something new, you're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to screw up. Learning is about making mistakes. Every time you make a mistake, you fail, there's always something you can learn from it. Don't get me wrong, failing, falling flat on your face, it sucks. It's the most miserable thing on the planet. You screw up riding your bike, or maybe you can't finish this one math problem because there's just something you're not getting. Maybe you can't finish a line on a climbing wall because you're getting off balance on the wall and you keep falling over and over and over and over again. And it's frustrating, it sucks, but you can look on the scenario and try to understand why you failed, what you did, and how you can change whatever you're doing to finish your goals. A good example would be Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Those super difficult games where, let's say you're fighting a hard enemy, a boss, and it's kind of like a dance, except you don't know any of the moves, and the other person, your opponent, does. I have to slowly learn where to dodge, where to attack, where to put my shield up, and for the vast majority of people, 99% of people, they're not going to get it on that first try. Maybe not even the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth try. You just have to keep going. And yeah, the game will tell you, you died, over and over and over and over again. And it sucks. But every time you fail, you learn a little bit more about what you're working towards. I should have ran here instead. Maybe I should have stayed a little bit further back. Maybe I should have dodged just a little bit before. So yeah, you're failing. You're not beating that boss. But you're learning a little bit more about what you have to do. I go rock climbing a lot. There's this one line I'm trying to get. I'm gonna be perfectly upfront. This is a miserable sport. Every line, every run you're gonna do on the wall is kind of like a puzzle. You have to figure out how you're gonna maneuver your body on this wall to get to the end point. The final taped rock, 10 feet, 15 feet off the ground. And it's like, okay, that initially starts pretty good. But the trouble spot is where you kind of have to jump or have really long arms to grab a handhold. And the problem is, every time I grab this handhold, I'll swing around the wall and then just slip off and fall onto the mat. It sucks. And for a while, my mindset towards this entire climb was, oh, I just need to get a better grip on the handhold. I just need to squeeze it a little bit harder and I won't fall off. And every single time, without fail, I'll grab that handhold and my whole body will just swing all the way around and I'll plop flat on my back on the ground. And I did this over and over and over and over again. So many times thinking, oh, just a slightly stronger grip, I'll get it. No. I had to stop. I went and did something else for a little bit. I went back to it and I was like, okay. Clearly, squeezing the handhold really hard isn't enough. If you need to look at it from a different angle or clear your head for a little bit, there's no shame in taking a step back and coming back to attack it later. So I looked at it a little bit more and I took it a little bit slower. I'll reach up as slowly as possible and see how my body is changing. And I realized I can grab this handhold, but I need to use my legs at the same time. I need to counteract this swinging motion with my legs. And in one single try, I was able to push past all that failure and continue on with the climb and get past the point that I was struggling for so long at. All because I decided to look at my mistakes. Is there something I could have changed? Tried that change and then kept going with it because it worked. I know this is a small example. Doesn't really affect anybody or affect myself. Like, the fact is, if I couldn't ever get that climb, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. But there's going to be times where you screw up or you just fail and it hurts. It genuinely hurts. It sucks. Makes you not want to keep going. But every time this happens, you have to be positive about it. There's no shame in feeling sad or angry about failing. It's just regular emotions. But the moment you're able to take a positive spin on it, you can start learning how to be better, improve upon your mistakes, and then get it better the next time. Right now, I'm trying to get into the process of becoming a firefighter. And that means a lot of interviews. Now, to be completely frank, I've never actually had a formal interview in my life. I did as much research as I could, but nothing beats actual live experience of sitting down in front of 3 different people with a set amount of questions, getting a timer thrown in your face. You have 10 minutes, answer these 3 questions. Your time starts now. Go. Now, there's some things I was able to work on by myself. I need to dress appropriately. I need to greet everybody. And then, of course, I need to know what type of questions I'm going to be asked and work on them. And my last set of interviews, I had a pretty big fire department, and I was pretty excited about it. I talked to someone on the phone for nearly 2 hours about the fire department, about the interview process. And I went in there confident as hell. I answered the questions. I left. I drove home. I felt pretty good. And a week later, I get an email from the same fire department saying, "You were not selected. You didn't make it." And that was that. There was nothing I could do to challenge it or see any critiques. That was it. Just one little email. You didn't move forward in the process. And that's that. And understandably, I was pretty mad. I don't say mad, actually. I was more disappointed that I didn't get in. I was pretty good. I was pretty happy with what my answers were. But one of the first things I did was I reflected back on the entire process. Is there anything I could have done better? Is there anything I could have done better to stand out? And I realized in this interview, I may have had good answers to their questions, but my composure and how I answered the questions wasn't how I wanted to present myself. I realized I was very, very timid. When I was sitting in my chair for the board interview, I was kind of hunched down, trying to cower, I guess, in a way. I hesitated a lot with my answers. It was a lot of I wasn't making eye contact with the panel members. And I looked back on this and I realized, I was like, wow, it doesn't matter that I may have given good answers. I tried to put my best foot forward, because how I presented myself was as someone incredibly timid, not confident, scared. And all of a sudden I can see the perspective of the interviewers, where they see a person coming up to them and they're not reflecting or showing any qualities that they would look for. Instead, they see someone that's scared and afraid to sit up straight and give them a straight answer with a straight voice. And yeah, getting that email sucked, but I was able to see that email, look back on that short little interview process, and then immediately improve on what I did wrong, so that the next time at another fire department or at the next interview with the same department, I won't make the same mistakes. I'll try to come off more confident. I'll stand up straight. I'll make consistent eye contact with the panel. And those are the things where I'm able to make a positive spin out of it. Yeah, it sucked. I wasn't happy that I was denied, but there's immediately things I can look forward to. And I was like, okay. I look back on it, and now I'm not going to do the same thing at the next interview. I'm going to do something different. Just like the climbing, I'm going to do something different. And every time you're able to work through something difficult, you learn that you can push your limits, your mental limits or your physical limits. So many people are okay with quitting so early on. And to tell you the truth, I've done it before too. I went backpacking a few months ago with some friends for the first time in a while. And, in total the trip was like 40 miles. But on our way back, there were some mistakes we made that really made this trip as difficult as possible. We didn't bring enough food. We slept like trash. We didn't bring sleeping mats. It was cold. All in all, it was just a miserable experience, and we've still got 10 more miles to hike back to the car. And yeah, probably could have just given up, called someone to come and help, bring us something extra. But instead, we made our mistakes, didn't bring enough food, didn't bring the proper sleeping gear, and instead, we pushed through. We pushed our limits. Like, yeah, this sucks. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I just want to sit down and not move, go to sleep. But instead, sure, with my friends, it's like, okay, we're just going to keep going, put our heads down, and march. Because we made our mistakes. We're just going to have to live with that fact. We're going to deal with the consequences of those mistakes. We're sore all over. We're hungry. And we're going to finish what we started. In the end, I get to sit down in my car. I get to turn up the heat or turn on the AC to whatever I want it to be. And I can live knowing that I completed what I set out to do. But I also know that next time, I'll be able to do it better and more efficiently. Because every time you push past difficulties or setbacks, you set yourself apart from other people just a little bit more. Every time you try to learn something new,